The gleaming skylines of American cities often hide a stark reality. Beneath the surface of prosperity, a deep crisis festers. This crisis is one of poverty and homelessness. It touches millions of lives. It challenges the very idea of the American dream. We see the bustling streets, the vibrant culture, but we must also see the people left behind. These are not abstract numbers. They are individuals, each with a story, a struggle. Their presence is a constant reminder of systemic failures. In 2021, over 37 million people in the United States lived in poverty. This accounted for 11.6% of the entire population. Imagine 1 in every 9 people you pass struggling to meet basic needs. Simultaneously, more than 1 million individuals were reported homeless. They were without a safe, stable place to call home. These figures are not just statistics, they represent a profound societal wound. A wound that, if left untended, only deepens with time. The promise of opportunity seems to ring hollow for so many. They are trapped in cycles of deprivation. The contrast between wealth and want grows sharper every day. As we stand in May 2025 looking back, these 2021 figures were a clear warning. They signaled an urgent need for action. The period from 2022 to 2024 saw the crisis of homelessness intensify dramatically. By January 2024, an estimated 771,480 people were experiencing homelessness on any given night. This figure marked a shocking 18% increase from just the previous year, 2023. The safety nets already frayed seem to be tearing apart at an accelerated pace. This rapid rise demands our urgent attention. Homelessness surged by an astonishing 32% between 2022 and 2024. Sheltered homelessness also saw a significant rise, increasing by 43% during the same 2-year period. As of January 2024, 64% of homeless Americans were living in shelters. While shelters provide temporary refuge, their swelling populations indicate a deeper problem. The streets remain the only option for far too many. In 2023, homelessness in the U.S. reached 653,104 individuals. This was a 12% increase from 2022. More alarmingly, it was the highest number recorded since the Department of Housing and Urban Development began tracking this data in 2007. The progress once hoped for has reversed into a troubling regression. Every state, every city feels this growing pressure. In 2023, homelessness increased in 41 states. New Hampshire, New Mexico, and New York saw the highest percentage increases. This shows that the crisis is national in scope. The crisis of homelessness is particularly acute in America's largest urban centers. New York City and Los Angeles stand out tragically. Together, these two metropolises accounted for a quarter of the nation's entire homeless population in 2023. This concentration of hardship in cities famed for wealth and opportunity is a bitter irony. It highlights the deep divides that exist. Over half of the nation's homeless population in 2024 lived within the areas containing the 50 biggest cities. California, the nation's most populous state, bears the heaviest burden in sheer numbers. In 2023, it was home to 181,399 homeless individuals. New York followed with 103,200 people without stable housing. Other states with large homeless populations included Florida, Washington, and Texas. When considering the rate of homelessness per 100,000 residents, New York State had the highest rate at 527. Vermont, Oregon, California, and Hawaii also showed alarmingly high rates. A significant difference exists in how these cities manage their homeless populations, particularly regarding shelter. In 2024, data showed that only 30% of Los Angeles's homeless population was sheltered. In stark contrast, New York City managed to shelter 97% of its homeless individuals. This disparity points to different policy approaches, resource availability, and philosophies on addressing the immediate needs of the unhoused. Homelessness does not discriminate, yet its impact is felt unevenly across different groups. It touches men, women, and children. It affects people of all ages and backgrounds. Understanding the demographics of homelessness is crucial. It helps us see the human faces behind the statistics. The data from 2023 reveals a complex tapestry of vulnerability. Each number represents a person stripped of a fundamental human need, a home. Individuals experiencing homelessness often face multiple overlapping challenges. These can include job loss, low wages, lack of affordable housing, and health problems. Mental illness and substance abuse can be both causes and consequences of homelessness. Domestic violence is another significant driver, particularly for women and families. The pathways into homelessness are varied and complex. There is no single story, but there are common threads of economic hardship and systemic gaps in support. The faces of homelessness are the faces of our neighbors, our community members. Section 5. Children and families on the brink, a generation adrift. The presence of children among the homeless population is particularly heartbreaking. In 2023, a staggering 111,620 children were reported homeless in America. These children are robbed of the stability and security essential for healthy development. Their education is disrupted, their health is compromised, and their futures are put at grave risk. Of these children, over 10,500 were living entirely outside of shelters. They were exposed to the elements and the dangers of the streets. More than 3,000 were without any guardian at all. Homelessness among families also saw a disturbing increase. In 2023, it rose by 16%. This encompassed 186,084 individuals living in 57,563 family households. The vast majority of these families, 91%, did receive some form of temporary shelter. However, shelter life is often disruptive and stressful for families. It lacks privacy and the sense of a true home. Parents struggle to maintain routines for their children. Children find it hard to study, play, and simply be children. The experience leaves lasting scars. The reasons families fall into homelessness are multifaceted. Job loss, low wages that don't cover soaring rents, and unexpected medical bills are common culprits. Section 6. Veterans and ethnic disparities. Systemic failures magnified. The promise to care for those who served our country often falls short. Homelessness among veterans increased by 7% in 2023. This meant an additional 2,445 veterans found themselves without a home. These are men and women who risked their lives for the nation. Now they struggle to find a basic human necessity. Many veterans face challenges transitioning back to civilian life. They may deal with service-related disabilities. They may deal with post-traumatic stress disorder. They may deal with substance abuse issues. These factors can make it difficult to maintain employment and housing. The rise in veteran homelessness is a stark reminder of our societal obligations. While programs exist to support veterans, they are clearly not reaching everyone in need, or the scale of the need is overwhelming the available resources. Access to appropriate healthcare, mental health services, and job training is critical. Affordable housing specifically for veterans is also essential. We must do better to honor their service. Ethnic disparities in homelessness are also deeply troubling and persistent. Data from 2023 shows that homelessness affected every ethnic group. However, some communities are disproportionately impacted. Section 7. The Fremont example. When shelter becomes a crime. The city of Fremont, California offers a recent and troubling case study. In February 2025, the city council passed a strict new law. This law banned camping on public property. It also made aiding and abetting homeless encampments illegal. This move reflects a growing trend across the U.S. cities are cracking down on visible homelessness, often without providing adequate alternatives. Such laws raise serious questions about compassion and human rights. They target the symptoms, not the root causes of the crisis. Fremont's own data highlights the challenge. The city's 2024 count found 807 homeless people. Of these, 612 were unsheltered, living on the streets or in vehicles. This number was down from 1,026 in 2022, but notably up from 608 in 2019, before the pandemic. Critically, Fremont has just over 100 shelter beds available. This is a vast mismatch between the scale of the need and the resources provided. Banning camping without offering viable shelter options effectively criminalizes the state of being homeless. It punishes people for their poverty. Section 8. Unraveling the causes why our cities are failing so many. The escalating crisis of poverty and homelessness in American cities stems from a complex interplay of factors. Economic disparities lie at the heart of the issue. The gap between the wealthy and the poor has widened significantly. This was particularly exacerbated in the post-COVID era. While some prospered, many others fell further behind. Wages for low-income workers have stagnated for decades. They have not kept pace with the rising cost of living. This makes it increasingly difficult for people to afford basic necessities, especially housing. Housing affordability is perhaps the most direct driver of homelessness. Across the country, rents and home prices have soared to unprecedented levels. In many major cities, a minimum wage job does not come close to covering the cost of a modest apartment. The supply of truly affordable housing units has dwindled. Public housing programs have faced chronic underfunding. Waiting lists for subsidized housing can be years, even decades long. Section 9. A call for compassion towards solutions and shared humanity. The crisis of poverty and homelessness in American cities is a profound challenge. It tests our values as a society. The numbers are stark, the stories are heartbreaking, and the causes are complex. Yet, despair is not an option. We must approach this crisis with a renewed sense of urgency and, above all, compassion. These are not faceless statistics. These are our fellow human beings. They deserve dignity, respect, and support. The path forward requires a multi-pronged approach. It demands commitment from all levels of government and community. Empathy must be our starting point. We need to move beyond judgment and stereotypes. We must try to understand the systemic failures and individual circumstances that lead to homelessness. This means listening to the voices of those with lived experience. It means recognizing that anyone can fall on hard times. Supporting initiatives aimed at reducing poverty and homelessness is crucial. This includes advocating for policies that increase affordable housing. It means supporting job training programs and expanding access to healthcare and mental health services. Local communities, nonprofit organizations, and volunteers are already doing vital work on the ground.